you guys? This is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot, we're going to be launching a whole lot of globules when we take a look at the Phantasma. Now, you can pick up the Phantasma's blueprint in the market for 25,000 credits. Just do keep in mind it does require Master Rank 9 to craft, as well as a little bit of Argon. So if you're finding yourself a little bit short and you don't necessarily want to deal with all of that, you can always pick it up in the market, pre-built along with the weapon slot and catalyst for 180 plat. And just keep in mind, it is also part of the Revenant collection, so if you're not all about doing question shit and you just want to get your hands on it ASAP, it's also available for 640 along with Revenant, some armor, and something special for your kitty. Alright, so when I started playtesting this weapon, I realized that there was going to be so much to cover, so I figured let's just go ahead and start off with the base functionality of this weapon, then we'll get into the nitty gritty. So as you can see right here, we've got a little Billy set up. Well, let's go ahead and mark him. He's currently at about 22 meters. Now the range of the weapon itself is 20 meters. So as you can see right there, once we get into 19 meters, boom, there you go, we got him and we can start hitting him for damage. So that is the primary fire. There's also another alternate fire. So as you can see right here, this actually can be charged. As you guys can see, I can just do a quick tap and it launches a little globule with a couple enemy-seeking globules. Think of them as kind of like Nyx's psychic darts. It's kind of like DE's like, we're getting rid of those, so let's go ahead and put those on a weapon. So that's just a quick tap of the secondary fire. You can actually charge it all the way up, and what will happen is you'll get something that launches more globules. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I actually took screenshots. I went ahead and recorded it and played it back to try to count how many globules there are. I've been counting anywhere from 6 to 8 because of the way that the kind of like energy effects are. Sometimes it looks like there's more than one. Sometimes it looks like there's doubles. I'm going to say there's like 6 to 8 globules that are launched when you launch a maximum charge globule. So as you can see right there, they all kind of home in. Just do be aware though that sometimes like you can literally shoot it at them and sometimes they just don't home in, sometimes they do home in. So far they've been all good so far, but they're like where are you, where did you go? Like it just turns into fireworks in the sky and I don't quite understand why. I'm like they're there, you missed them, all of you. So that's kind of the one thing that you do need to kind of be aware of, and not the seekingness of them is not always quite as perfect as we would like them to be. Now the explosion radius of this globule right here is 5 meters. So keep that in mind, because you want to stay out of those 5 meters. You will do self-damage, and because of the fact that this thing outputs a good chunk of damage, you could be dead. Trust me, I learned the hard way. I didn't realize that it was self-damaging for quite a while, and I was like, but why do I keep dying over and over? Oh yes, that's because you can harm yourself with that. Also be aware that of course, the projectile that is spit out of this is reflected by nullifier bubbles, so you might bounce it off of a nullifier bubble and it might come back for your ass. So just keep that in mind when you're going up against nullies. You're gonna want to use the beam function and not the globule function. So let's go ahead and move in. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit more testing here, just so that you can be aware, because there's some other cool things that kind of go along with this. So one of the things that I definitely wanted to note is the fact that this does have innate punch through. And I'm not talking about like a little punch through. I mean like it just punches through. So as you can see here, we've got a bunch of Billies. I'm going to go ahead and mark this guy right over here. So the punch through seems to be attached to the entire beam of the weapon. So what I'm saying is this beam is going to go 20 meters no matter what. It's going to go and penetrate through enemies for 20 meters, and it's going to hit every enemy within those 20 meters. I'm going to try to stay out of that one's way. So as you can see right here, this will actually penetrate all the way through to the very end. So as you can see, the beam just goes through 20 meters. You know what I haven't tested though? I haven't tested like if it goes through walls and shit. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it goes. It probably doesn't go through every wall. Let's try it again. Yep, no, not through every single wall. But as you can see right here, you can kind of like get an angle, and this thing, the beam has a little bit of girth to it. has a little bit of girth, so as you can see, it kind of goes through. It's got a lot of accuracy built into this one, and this is a real big status weapon. The other thing that I do want to, you know, make note of at the same time too is that the explosions launched by this thing can push enemies back. So as you can see right there, it kind of will knock enemies out of the way. So that's also another feature that you need to pay attention to when it comes to this weapon. I mean, not that it's, you know, anything too insane, but the beam itself has impact damage, the explosion has impact damage, so enemies are going to be like shifted. They're not going to stay in those perfect lines the entire time. Now let's go ahead and just get a quick performance guide on this weapon. One of the interesting things that people pointed out that I didn't really recognize is the fact that this thing has the most insane reload speed. So as you can see, there's a reload, there's a reload. Like, literally the amount of time it takes me to say the word reload is about how fast its reload is, which is fantastic, but also, kind of, how do I put this? It kind of speaks to how much ammo you can, like, work through this weapon with. Now, I do focus on this weapon with status to kind of, like, strip armor, and as you guys know, when it comes down to corrosive, it's one of those ones that does take a little bit more time to go ahead and work through an enemy. So it is a little bit slower, and you do kind of have to like roll the dice on what status effects you get. If you get a bunch of corrosive straight out the gate, then fantastic, and you'll be able to strip off that armor super fast. However, if you know you don't get the corrosive rolls, then you know you're not going to be as lucky when it comes to taking down an enemy. So as you can see, when you do get lucky on those corrosive rolls, you know, the enemy armor just jumps off real fast. And all of those little globules. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I do want to point out one thing. Before we actually jump into me testing the weapon, I wanted to show off the globules and all of that kind of stuff, but the one thing that I forgot to do, because I wanted to show off the features, and I wanted to show off the globules, but the one thing that I didn't do with this weapon, and this is why it's performing so poorly, is to put in the multi-shot mods that I took off. Rob's been doing a lot of testing today, so, you know, forgive me for that. Let's go ahead and show a real performance one. In 1 second, forgive me, I'm so very sorry. I am so very sorry. Rob has been like, you know, up to his teeth with performance. I was like, I remember this performing a little bit better, but this is what happens when you just do live recordings of everything. So let's go ahead and see how it fares now, which should be better. Oh my god, don't die. We'll keep it in. I mean, you know, listen, we're all human beings. Let's not pretend that it didn't happen. Let's just never speak of it happening. Let's just pretend it didn't, though, okay? So what do you call this? As you can see, the reload speed, okay, much better. See, that's how it performs when you have a lot of multi-shot on it. That's a lot of multi-shot. And the reason I took out multi-shot is, like I was saying, I was counting orbs. So you have to think about it. You have the ability to shoot up to 3 orbs at once if you get a good roll on your multi-shot. And I wasn't trying to count all of those orbs at once, you know what I mean? I was just trying to count like 1 set, and then we can multiply that. So think of that from 6 to 8 per orb, maximum of 3 of the globules. So, you know, do the multiplication there, because I really don't want to. Is it 32? Did I get it right? I don't know. Somebody in the comments let me know. But let's go ahead and take a look at the build real quick, because it is a little bit of an odd build. I was doing a lot of playing and seeing exactly how everything felt, and this is really the way that I decided to go with it. So as you can see, this thing has like no critical chance. It's all status. It's got a high amount of status. In fact, let's just take a look at its base stats already. It's got a 37% status chance, 3% critical chance, and like a 1.5 critical multiplier. So that wasn't going to be all that crazy. Its base damage is radiation and impact, which is kind of cool because it's almost like saying this beam of radiation like hits you, like a physical wall, it hits you. So I kind of liked that whole gist going along with it, but basically that's all it is. It's status and impact and radiation. So I wanted to go ahead and work with that just a little bit. So of course we've got Prime Point Blank, we've got Hell's Chamber, which are the must. Then we've got 3 elemental status mods. So as you can see, we're rocking a little bit of fire, because I figured we've already got Blaze there. Let's not try to fuck things up any further. And then we've got in a little bit of Corrosive. Now, as you can see right here, I actually put in Contagious Spread. So what happened with Contagious Spread is this actually swung its corrosive damage a bit higher than its radiation. I really wanted to like focus that. I wanted corrosive to be its highest base damage. So as you can see right now, we've got higher corrosive, we've got heat following, and then radiation afterwards. So it kind of gives the corrosive a higher chance to proc and strip off that armor. And as you can see, what we're also doing is I've got some vigilante armaments in it for more multi-shot. So I'm definitely fond of that. If you wanted to, you could get rid of Contagious Spread and put in what is it called? An ammo mutation mod. Definitely about that if you feel like you need that in your life. I do feel like with the addition of Kavats, because of the fact that they can force critical chances onto your weapons, that this can still be ammo efficient. Or if you are using a carrier, you can also use ammo case. Totally up to you. I'm sticking with my Kavats. You know how I roll. Now, of course, if there's anything else that I missed, let me know. Toss that in the comments below. But one of the things that I do want to point out, because I know people are going to ask, I don't know if it's intentional, but as you can see, Sinister Reach is not available on this weapon. Now, of course, because of the fact that the entire beam length seems to be able to penetrate through enemies, that would make it super OP if you use Sinister Reach on this. And just keep in mind that you supposedly you can use Sinister Reach on the Phage. So it's not about not being able to use it on shotguns, if that's a thing. I was reading through like the wiki article and just triple checking. It's not available for as far as we can see. So whether that's an omission on DE's part to not let this thing use Sinister Reach, or whether that was intentional, just know that at the point of recording this video, Sinister Reach not available for it, because I know y'all saw that punch through moment and you're like, ooh, we gotta put Sinister Reach on this. That's a no-go. Alrighty, so all in all, the Phantasma is definitely my favorite beam shotgun. The other ones that are currently available, yes, they're fun and they have some cool gimmicks to them, but I do feel that they are very gimmicky. I feel like the Phantasma is just nice and straightforward, nothing too crazy about it, just a whole bunch of punch through and an ability to like launch globules. And I actually feel that I've committed a bit of a sin to you guys for not making the energy color white. Don't worry, when you see this next, if I am going to feature it in a video or something, I'll make sure that the energy color is white, so we get our little spermies flying through the air seeking their little eggs, enemy eggs. Think of this thing impregnating enemies. Anyway, we're gonna get off of that train of mind. I do think that the secondary ability is really, really cool. A really great way to apply a lot of status to a bunch of enemies at once. So if you do want to focus on the radiation portion and make this a little bit of a CC, I know some of you guys love your blast out there. I'm not a blast fan myself, but I could see this being used with corrosive and blast and radiation all at once. So you've got some armor stripping, you've got some knockdown, you've got some CC, and create some really big chaos on the battlefield, which you guys know I like a little bit of a mess sometimes. I'm a bit messy, but aside from that, the beam itself is actually pretty powerful. I'm not going to say it's the most powerful weapon in the game. It will get through the star chart fairly easily, but I do have a feeling that when you start getting up to tougher enemies, you're going to start chewing through ammo fairly quickly. But still very usable, still very fun, still very cool mechanics. But that about does it for me for now. Leave all of your feelings down in the comments below. Do you feel betrayed that I didn't make them into spermies? I kind of am very disappointed in myself as well. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your spermies. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!